Don't change that channel. Despite the kitchen surroundings, this isn't the Food Network. This is G4 TV's Attack of the Show. Now viewers, you might be wondering what happened to our fancy studio. Actually, it's currently under construction, so we've been given the privilege to film right here in our producer's home. To kick things off today, I'm going to be sitting down with film critics Andrew Anguianis and Cole Flettage to talk about a new breed of superhero. That's all coming up next in The Loop. Kick-Ass follows comic book lover Dave Lewinsky as he decides that he was meant for something else: kicking ass. As a masked superhero without powers, Dave sets up a MySpace for his alter ego and starts taking requests for help.
Oh yeah? Didn't see that, did you?
His popularity really kicks off after his crime fighting makes it onto the web, and soon he finds out that he's not the only superhero out there. Teaming up with Red Mist, Big Daddy,
This guy comes at me.
You're telling me one guy killed 8 of my men tonight?
and Hit Girl.
Nobody goes out.
The group of masked vigilantes try to clean up the streets of New York City.
So you want to play? Let's see what you can do.
Hey guys, I'm here to talk to you about Kick-Ass, coming out on DVD this Tuesday. With me from Entertainment Weekly, we have Andrew Anguianis, who is gonna...
Anguiano.
Yeah, okay, whatever. We tried to get a hold of Cole Fletcher from IGN, but unfortunately, he hasn't been returning our calls. Fortunately, we found out where he lives, and we're outside of his house right now. So we're gonna pop in on him and see what he's doing. I hope he's not doing anything a little embarrassing. Let's take a look. Hey, get ahead. So, come on. Alright. Alright, what the hell is this? Hey, you two! Get out here right now, you stupid man. Hey, you! What do you think about this movie, Kick-Ass?
Oh, I hate this movie. It
Are
sucks.
Are you kidding me? Hey,
No,
put on these pants. We're talking about it. Alright, so Andrew, what did you think about Kick-Ass coming out of the theater?
I actually thought it was a really good movie. Thought it was a good mix of comedy and action. Thumbs up. What, you got something to say?
No, please continue.
I'm done, so, you know.
I mean, please tell us, what, were you dissatisfied with the film?
I thought it was so cliche. Classic superhero stuff.
How
Doesn't
was
cut
it classic? It was a spin-off. It was like satire. It was making fun of it. It wasn't the
Oh,
same
please.
thing.
It was still superhero
Wait,
stuff.
did Spider-Man beat up in his room? No, it's not.
That was just
cliche.
comic relief, but it still followed the
It's
same
not
basic
relief.
storyline of a superhero movie.
Alright, so now Cole, you mentioned that it was just like any other superhero movie. I disagree, but what do you have to say about that, Andrew?
I think it was, but that's kind of the point because it was a satire. The first half of the movie was mimicking the way superhero origin stories are, but just adding a little comic twist on it, so it made it fresh by doing that.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing is that they're not really superheroes.
Yeah, they're not. They're just regular kids, or a regular kid who in his room and decides, you know what, I want chicks, I'm gonna go dress up like a superhero, see what happens.
Well, you may be right about the first half, but the second half of the movie is over-the-top violence. I mean, Hit Girl, she's a 10-year-old girl and she's chopping off guys' limbs, she's murdering people, and she cusses like a sailor. Crazy. She's 10. I mean, come on. This is just ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have to agree with you there. I mean, it is a pretty bad example to be seen.
Well, can I say something though? But Quentin Tarantino does over-the-top stuff all the time, and that's okay. Why is it not okay for this movie to have? I mean, it's rated R. It's not misleading. Quentin Tarantino's he's praised as a genius, and he does the same thing. It's all aesthetic.
She's 10.
It's a movie though.
But she's 10.
Alright, let me just interrupt here. I mean, it is a rated R film. I mean, you're not going to be allowed to see it unless you're 17 and your parents think you're mature enough to. I mean, it can be over the top, but it is, you know, appropriate on some levels.
Yeah, it's
You
for
know,
a
the
mature
morality of
audience.
it isn't really there. I mean, it is a 10-year-old girl, but it's just a film. You got to get over that.
Well, what about this torture scene in the movie? It was being televised in the film throughout the city. I mean, that's pretty immoral. That's pretty crazy stuff. It's kind of sick, you know?
Yeah, I mean, not to mention all the drug use going on in the film. And Andrew, I mean, you praise this movie so much. What can you say about this?
Well, like we said before, it's rated R. I mean, like, that doesn't take away from the quality of the film just because that is drug use. If anything, it makes it more realistic. You know, I mean, the bad guys aren't going to be all nice and good. Let's look at other movies for examples, like The Dark Knight. It had torture in that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not as...
It's not as gruesome, yeah, but it's because this is to a more mature audience. Dark Knight was a summer blockbuster, just like this one, but this one's a summer blockbuster for more mature films. That's why it was rated R. Dark Knight was PG-13.
Alright, so I think we've had enough of the whole morality issue. It's a rated R film. It's, you know, it's debatable, whatever. We're done with that. Now, what about the acting? Nicolas Cage plays Big Daddy in this film, and recently he hasn't been all that good in his projects. Now, what do you have to say about him and the other actors?
For once, I think he was well cast. Like, he actually shines in his role. Like, usually Nicolas Cage is really just straightforward. He's really dreary and boring sometimes. But in this movie, I think it kind of fits his personality because, you know, he's just this big daddy. You know, he doesn't have much emotion. I mean, he's 10-year-old shooting people. So I think it actually fits well for this movie.
Yeah, I agree, and he kind of plays the role of a good father in a sort of twisted way. I mean, he looks after his child, but the fact that he's subjecting her to all this violence and this lifestyle, it just says something else. He's a depthful character, and I think the director made a good choice in making sure he was in the film.
Yeah. Another thing, also, his daughter, sorry, Chloe. She does a great job acting. Like, Cole's done a lot of complaining about a 10-year-old shooting people. But let's think about it. I mean, a 10-year-old pretending to shoot people, like, that takes good acting. I saw in an interview that she doesn't swear at home, so she really went outside of her comfort zone for this movie.
Yeah, it's definitely a good thing for an actress.
Well, I'll have to agree with you guys on the acting choices. Nicolas Cage was a good part. And I agree with you guys because I was a big fan of the comic book series myself. And I must say that I wasn't very appreciative of the changes that they made. They might have seemed subtle, but for a big comic book fan, they kind of hurt the movie to me.
Alright, now, I somewhat agree with you. I read the comic books. I wasn't a huge fan as you, but I read an article, and Mark Miller, the writer of Kick-Ass, was talking about the film adaptation and how they had to change things so that everything transitioned well and sort of fit in that movie script and that 2.5-hour time limit or so. I wish they'd done things a little differently, but I mean, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, and I also think that you really have to analyze the movie like as its own piece, its own work of art. And I think, you know, that kind of perspective is a little biased. So.
Well, about the comic books. I did like how they explained Big Daddy's story in comic book format. You know, it was cool also because Big Daddy's character liked to draw comic books, so of the comic book characters of the official characters in the movie of the mob bosses, and I did like that. It was good stuff.
Yeah, now on the subject of cinematography, I also have to say, you know, it's very subtle, but the use of transitions in this film, they're really something extra. I mean, this isn't, you know, George Lucas' Star Wars, where they have this big old cheesy, you know, sweeping things across and circles opening up in the screen. It was really well done. I mean...
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely, but I don't really have much else to say on the cinematography, but since we're on the technical aspects, I thought the score for the film was actually pretty entertaining because it was just happy music, which was really ironic, kind of like how they did it in Watchmen. And also the lighting was also pretty bright, which also was ironic because most of the movie was pretty dark. It was like a dark satire, but it was all bright, everything was clear, and the music was really upbeat and happy.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like how everything was well lit.
Yeah.
And it was just, you know, a fresh take on the superhero genre, since most things, you know, there's these Cape Crusaders lurking around through the dark.
No Batman in the alleyway or anything like that.
Yeah, there's no Batman. This ain't the Dark Knight again. But everything was well lit, and the music is just really sharp contrast. You know, you have like Hit Girl assassinating an entire room full of people, and then there's this la 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 song going on in the background. I mean, it really is something extra.
Well, yeah, the technical aspects may be good, and I agree with you on that, but overall, I'm gonna have to say no to this movie.
Alright, so now, a final verdict for all the viewers out there. Is Kick-Ass, in your opinion, a buy, rent, or don't even bother watching?
Well, you know, if you're a comic book fan like me, I can understand if you want to rent it and, you know, check it out and see the differences, but otherwise, you know, I wouldn't recommend this to anybody. It's just over the top, too violent, you know, just not gonna work.
Alright, so Andrew, same question. Is this a buy, rent, or don't even bother watching?
I say it's definitely a buy. I mean, I love the film. I thought it was really entertaining. The only reason I would say not to buy it is if you're maybe a biased fanboy and your verdict's already been made before watching the movie, then I say don't even bother.
I would appreciate you calling me that in my own house. Thank you.
Yeah, you're one to talk, mama's boy.
Excuse me?
Yeah, you still live at home, and you work at IGN. Some great job you have.
You know what? You know
You
what?
act like a child.
You can get out of my house,
Yeah.
sir.
You
This
just-
is my house.
You stretch your legs all day, you mess up our interview.
I didn't do anything.
You're very professional.
Thank you.
Contact.